quorum yet?
We do. There's 9 of us out of 10.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the webinar then. Here we go.
Okay, great. Okay, welcome to the Peabody Institute Library Board of Library Trustees meeting. Today is January 11th. And just can we do a quick roll call and then we'll move on to our guest. Thank you. Go ahead, Catherine.
Peter Bakula.
Present.
Stephanie Dallaire.
Present.
Dawn McAllister.
Present.
Fran Gallugi.
Here.
Wes Merrill. No Wes.
Nope.
No, he's actually, he resigned. That's part of our communication for tonight, but so he's no longer
Okay.
with us.
Okay. Stephanie Najjar.
Present.
Kate O'Brien.
Here.
Thomas Pappas.
Present.
Ann Quinn. Richard Shurin.
Here.
And Morgan Yo.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. It's nice to see you all in the new year. And we have Mayor Betancourt is joining us this evening. So Mayor, go ahead and take the floor. I know you have other things going on, so we appreciate your time again tonight.
Thank you, Stephanie, and it's great to be with all of you. Happy New Year. It's nice to see everyone. I just want to first apologize for any stress or anxiety that this year has caused regarding the library. I know it's been a difficult time, and certainly I think all of us during 2020 have had a great deal of stress and anxiety. You know, from the pandemic to the racial divides in our country, the struggles for our police and teachers and nurses and everybody, the lack of leadership we seem to be getting at the federal government, and certainly all the educational issues we're having as a nation. And I could go on and on about all the different things, but the last thing I wanted to do was to cause some additional anxiety and stress to all of you as elected officials regarding our certification, which is extremely important for all of us. I went public just to try to make sure people knew that we would not lose the certification. I committed to that. I committed to many of you that was never going to happen. And I wanted to, again, make sure that that's very clear. I hope to be mayor a long time, and I never want to be a part of losing our certification. It's a badge of honor for our library department and for our city that we've been able to maintain that. True, this year we've had many budget issues, many budget problems. And I'm not going to bore you with the details of it and everything, but certainly people are struggling to pay their taxes. Our business community is struggling to pay their taxes, and it's had certainly an effect on our budget and how we typically operate. And certainly I'm looking for budget savings and cost savings wherever I can. But it's very important to me. I don't want any of you as fellow elected officials and people who care for our city like all of you do, that I just don't want anyone to think that I focused on the library, looking to make more cuts to the library than I did other departments. It's just very important for me to know that there's no animus, I wasn't focusing on the library in any way. Really what it came down to is the budget process, and I'll briefly explain that. I've already talked to some of you about it, but the educational budget is based on per pupil spending. I really don't have much to do with the educational budget in the city. It's kind of derived from a formula and it goes from there. What I do have control over is the city side of the budget, our police and fire, DPW, library, all the different departments in our city. And what was extremely important to me during the budget process and what I truly focused on was I did not want anybody, any full-time employee to lose their job. And thankfully, and it's something I'm very proud of, is that we have not had a full-time employee lose their job during the pandemic. What we did have was many, many part-timers that lost their job. And that's what I focused on initially when things came out and back in the spring and we were uncertain about where things were going. I didn't want to cause stress and anxiety to our full-time employees, worried about their medical insurance and things of that nature. So the part-time employees were where I looked to. The library did have a lot of part-time employees, as all of you know. Park and Recreation, the Council on Aging, our Department of Public Works. So those were the ones that took a great deal of the hit. The educational budget didn't take a hit at all. It was across the board on the city side. On the higher end was the library, the Park and Rec Department, the DPW, and Council on Aging. I think that was all within 15 to 18%. Our police and fire, I think, were both around 6 to 8%. And then there were a number of other smaller city departments as well. And that was what it was, though. It was the part-time employees. And that's why the library was so greatly affected. And, I wanted to kind of address that again, just to make sure everybody kind of knew where I stood on that. And again, there was no animus towards the library. It's something I'm very proud of. And again, I'll speak to that in a moment. In terms of timing, we just set our tax classification last month. It was the second week of December. And we did our tax classification, which we set the tax rate for our residential tax rate and our business tax rate. And I'm very wary to go to the city council for any money or any funding, additional funding or supplemental budget until that's established. And then I got COVID, which beat the hell out of me, truthfully. And thankfully, I'm doing great and everything. We've moved on. But things have been a little bit behind on the work that I wanted to get done. So now I'm prepared to go to the city council. And I've always been very wary of doing that because I don't want to pit one department versus the other. Certainly in this pandemic time, all the departments have come to me seeking additional funding. And until we set the tax rate and until we get a little bit more clarity on where things stand, I've been very hesitant to go to the city council and ask for money for different budgets. But this is different, the library, because of the certification demands, and we need to move forward with preserving that. The library to me is essential. It's an important part of our city. The work that all of you do, what takes place at the library, has been something that has provided a lot for our community. And in these times, probably more than ever, we need the library to be functioning as best we can during these times. So I want that to continue. We don't have a city or town the size of Peabody in the state that has 3 functioning working libraries. And I want that to continue, and that will continue. But it was very difficult this year, and I'm sorry that it's kind of taken so long to follow through and to make sure we had that funding for the certification. I did put forward last week a request to the city council for the $139,000, I think it is, about Kate. Kate's been giving me that information. She's been very helpful. And I did submit that to the city council. So typically what they'll do is they'll receive it at their meeting on the 14th next week or later this week. And then they'll be set up for a hearing on the 28th, which I expect to vote. I do expect there to be support for that. But I didn't want to create any strangeness between departments because, again, everybody's seeking funding. But this is a little different circumstance, and I've been able to explain that to some of the other department heads why I need to move forward in this manner. But I wanted to follow through on my word to all of you. I want to continue the important work that's taking place. And again, all of you have been very supportive. I do want to thank Stephanie Najjar. She's been terrific, always advocating for the library, but certainly understanding of the difficult spot that I've been in and our finance department have been in. And I've spoke to many of you I have relationships with, Tom, Don, Fran, as many of you, I shouldn't start saying names. Some of you know me very well and know that you can trust me. Others, we're learning, you're going to get to know me in the years ahead, and hopefully that trust will develop. But I really want the library to continue to be one of our bright lights here in the city. And if you're able to join us on the 28th, I think it would be very helpful to have your voice at the city council meeting. I'll be there to speak and certainly lay out a little bit of the history and why this took place. And again, I want to apologize for all the stress and anxiety. It's certainly not intentional or purposeful on my end. It's the last thing I want to do. But everything's just been so backwards this year, and it's created a lot of hardships for all of us. So I also want to thank Kate for her work. It's been very difficult for her being first year, right out of the chute, and she has this thrown on her. And I appreciate her efforts as well. So happy to answer any questions or whatever. But I wanted to let you know that that's the plan, and we're moving forward in that way.
Thank you. I have a question about the meeting on the 28th. Is that in person, or are you talking like a live Zoom?
Yeah, the council's been meeting in person, but it's restricted to just the councilors. I'll probably be there in person. Likely I will. And then otherwise it would be a Zoom meeting that you can, just like we're doing here, we can
Okay.
you'll see everyone's faces right up on the screen.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support all along. I know it's been a crazy ride along the way, but COVID's been a crazy ride along the way. So it's had its ups and downs. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I think a lot of people are relieved here on this panel, correct? It's nice to
Very,
know.
very
Yeah,
relieved.
it is a relief in the end. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. And again, I this isn't what I wanted to come down to the very end here, but because of financial budget reasons in terms of our tax classification and then personal reasons, and then just trying to work with some of the other departments, it kind of pushed things off until this point. But I've pledged to a number of you individually, and I'll continue that. We will never lose our certification as a city. And I'm looking forward to the library playing an important role in the years ahead, and even with some other things that hopefully once we get back to normal soon, there'll be other things that we can partner on in the future. So looking forward to that. There was some good news, and Kate, I don't know if you wanted to mention it. I can speak to that as well, but we got some potential funding from the state. Kate, you want to mention that? I don't want to steal your thunder.
Oh, no, sure. I received an email this afternoon, which was a really confusing but then wonderful surprise that the mayor and Representative Walsh had been working on additional funding for the library through, I added it to the trustees report, through the state budget local economic development projects earmarks for FY21. That's an additional $75,000 for the library for FY21, which kind of took my breath away as well. So I'm this week, this is the first I've heard of this. So obviously I have to learn what this means, and I'm sure talking to the mayor and Mike Gingras and figuring out how to move forward and what exactly we can do with this, and the ramifications and stipulations of this. But this is also very exciting. So thank you, Mayor, for that as well. This is all amazing news for us.
Yeah, that was good news. And I've known about it for a couple months. We got together a couple months ago with our representatives, Tom Walsh and Senator Joan Lovely, and just talked about some of the city needs. And we spoke about the library, and they put in for the $75,000, which was terrific. I never know if it's going to pass or if it's not. So I don't like to speak about it publicly or inform people until I know for certain. But both the Senate and the House approved it, the $75,000, and now it's in front of the governor for his signature. And we're hoping that he signs within, the next week or two. Another part of that, which I think also touches the library, is that we were also approved at the State House for $500,000 for continued work on the trolley that we're trying to create from downtown Peabody to Salem. Both Peabody and Salem put in for that. I've been partnering with Mayor Driscoll over in Salem on that. And I think we have real momentum on creating a transportation link between Peabody Square and Salem. And I know that would be a great help to the library as well, and potentially bring more resources and people to it. So that was good news. We were still waiting for the governor, but it looks good. And, I know that $75,000, I think there are some restrictions on it, but I think Kate and all of you will have a lot of flexibility as to best utilize that money. So I'm hoping that I can present that good news here shortly.
That's awesome. Was that part of the stimulus money, Mayor?
No, this was just part of every year we review the city's needs, and the state reps and the state senators put in specific requests from cities and towns. So that's what this was for. Nice.
Very nice. That's great. That's great.
But as always, anything, please reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions. We're on. I'm 99% sure we'll be on for the 28th. That's typically how the city council handles it. I think the meetings are pretty set for the 14th and the 28th this month. And I'll be there in person to present. If any of you would like to speak, or if someone would like to speak on the board's behalf, I would strongly encourage that. I think that'll be helpful. And I do think there'll be support from the council on it. I've talked to a number of them, let people know what's coming. And I think there'll be support there. But I think it would be very helpful to have a voice or two from the library trustees. I think it would be very helpful.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't put you in too tough of a position. I know you were very concerned about your other departments, and I totally understand that. So I appreciate, the olive branch, because it is an important thing. It's like you said, so I don't need to reiterate that, but I appreciate you going and putting yourself in that position.
No, it's difficult. We certainly, public safety has reached out for funding, and everybody's reached out for funding. So, but this is timely. This is important. And, we need to work together and support our library and continue the important work. So I'm happy that we're here. I wish I could have done this earlier. I wish we weren't quite in this position. And hopefully things get a little bit better here. We can start talking about bringing back our part-timers to get operations going again. I still don't have a time frame on that. I got news from Sharon Cameron right before this that this was the highest week we've ever had for positive COVID tests, which was not great news. This was the highest we've ever had this week. So that was tough to hear. But we'll work and figure out how things are going to go here in the months ahead.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor before he signs off?
Just a big thank you for all the work that you've done, Mayor. And you sat here across from us all, looked us all in the eye, and you said, "Trust me, I've got this. Let's work together on it." And I says, "I believe them." And here we are, Mayor. Thank you very much for all your work and commitment. Thank you.
Great.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye now.
See ya.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. Have a
Bye.
good night.
Thanks, Ed. Stephanie,
Is he still here? Oh, hi. Yep.
can you make sure Ann Quinn gets credit for being at the meeting? She missed roll call.
Yeah, Catherine.
Right.
Yeah, Catherine Ann Quinn is here. Okay, Catherine, are you still with us?
Yes, got it.
Okay, sorry, I
No,
didn't hear
no
you.
worries. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, no, thank you. Okay, so we go into we have to go and suspend the rules while we go into the election. So do I hear a motion to suspend the rules for the board to elect officers?
Motion to suspend the
So
rules.
moved.
Okay, so moved. Okay, all in favor?
Second.
Bye.
Okay, any
Aye.
opposed? No. Hold on, I need to fix my view here. Hold on a minute, I don't know why that is there. Okay. So Catherine, sorry to throw this at you, but you got my email. So if you want to go ahead and you can kind of take over from where I just left off.
Okay. So it says, do I just say I'm calling for the nominations of the president of the Board of Trustees?
Yes. And, oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I guess we go right in there. Okay, so that is correct. So there was a call for nominations. Any nominations?
I nominate Stephanie Naja. I keep screwing up your name.
It's Najjar. It's Najjar.
Sorry.
Thank you, Rick.
I second.
Oh, thank
I
you.
second the motion.
Well, you folks, I was going to kind of take a break this year, and I sit and ponder that myself. Everybody knows who's talked to me. I've gone back and forth, but there are some other personal things happening, and I'm going to nominate a different candidate. So I'm going to decline.
Okay, no pressure.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I still have several years to go, so we have time on our side, and I think it'll be a lot of new people here. So at this point, I'm going to nominate Tom Pappas for president.
Second.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Am I doing this? Go ahead, Catherine. I think you're supposed to say, are there any other nominations?
Move to close nominations.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
To close. Okay. So, sorry.
That's okay.
And any additional nominations?
And any additional
No.
nominations?
No.
Nope.
Okay. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. Take
Am
your time.
I moving on to the next?
We have to vote now.
We have to
We have to
vote.
vote.
Okay, so I'm calling for a vote for the motion by Stephanie Najjar nominating Tom Pappas.
Okay.
Would you like me to do a roll call vote?
I think you can, well, or you can do it all in favor. And
Okay, all in
opposed.
favor?
Aye. Yes.
Aye. Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? You have to say,
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, Tom.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your vote.
Tom.
And thank you for your nomination, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Was I supposed to accept this before you voted?
Oh, that's true.
I think you already did.
I think I did. Yes, I
You can
did.
back out.
I think
if you
it's too
want.
late.
You can back out if you want.
Okay.
And then we move on to
I guess we move on to, we don't have any receipt of communications, right?
No, we have to move on to the, we're still suspended, and
Oh.
Catherine, we move on to.
Yes. We're moving on
next.
to nominations for the treasurer.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, so nominations for the treasurer. Who's the treasurer right now? We have Fran, right?
No, I'm secretary.
I'm sorry, secretary. And
It's
for
Dawn. I think it's Dawn.
Oh, John, I think you are the treasurer.
I thought he was
Treasurer.
labor.
all right, so
It's been-
Don,
It's
Don,
during this
treasurer?
horrible thing. I haven't spent any money.
all right, so Don, would you like to maintain treasurer?
So, I don't mean to be rude here. So, Tom, Catherine is the one who has to run all of this. So we have to just nominate. Anybody can nominate Dawn, I think, right? Is that
Okay.
right?
I nominate Dawn for treasurer.
I'm sorry, I'm just as confused as Catherine, and I've been through this before, so I apologize. Okay, so Fran, and any other nominations, right? Do we just throw them out there? Not that I would, but I'm just saying, is that how it all goes?
Somebody has to second.
Okay,
Dawn.
sorry,
Okay.
second. I'm trying to follow along and I'm not getting this, sorry.
Then we have to do a vote.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nope.
Oh,
Then is it secretary next?
Madam Sec,
Yes,
I nominate Fran Galucci, is that okay?
That's okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Nope.
Okay, now I believe we move on to the clerk.
I nominate Catherine McGrath.
Wait a minute, we got rid of one of those in the bylaws, I thought.
yeah,
Yeah, you know
we
what?
have
I think I have to check the bylaws. This is so bad. Sorry, hold on.
On what you sent me, I had,
That's old though. I'm just remembering now about something we changed. Is that correct? Am I right, you guys, or am I losing it?
yes, you are. You are correct.
Which,
It's just coming to me now. I'm very sorry, but it's just coming to me now that we changed something. Hold on, I'm looking through my, we don't have anyone, there's a lot, Allison would remember, she was with us for so long. Hold on, I'm scrolling through. Kate Merlin, do you have any memory of when that happened? Were you with us then, or was it
That was
Melissa?
before my time, I think.
Okay. Does anyone have a quick handle on, I'm just trying to find the bylaws as quickly as I can. You sent them to,
I have them here. They're from
scrolling through to
2018.
find the bylaws so I can quickly look.
Oh, this isn't.
I just see that there's the following officers. I have president, treasurer, and secretary, and then it goes on from there. So there's no clerk in the current bylaws.
That's right, then there is no clerk. Okay, that's what I
Right.
thought. But I
that
wasn't
sounds
sure.
right.
Okay, so then we're finished, so we can cross clerk off that list
Yep,
going forward for, okay. Okay, so we're actually done. So I make a motion to resume the meeting.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Nope, okay.
Okay, so go ahead, Tom. You take it from there. You've got the agenda.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Stephanie, and everybody. So we guess we have receipt of communications. That was the mayor this evening, right? And Stephanie, I'm going to look to you for this
Yep.
first agenda. And so I guess we're moving on to the report of the library director.
So the receipt of communication
Did
would
we
be.
do the minutes, approval of the minutes?
No, we haven't done approval of minutes yet.
Okay. Why don't we
so-
start this over again, everybody? So why don't we do approval of minutes, agenda item number 2?
Yes, so I make a motion to approve the minutes of
Second.
last meeting.
I have a,
We can open discussion, sure.
Ann, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I just had a question. When technical services librarian Gail Desmond retired in December, did we do anything to acknowledge her service? Did we send a letter? Did we send a card? Did we do anything? It wasn't mentioned in the minutes, so I don't know whether we did or not.
I'm sorry, I did not, as president, I did not communicate. I'm sorry. Maybe I was supposed to and I forgot.
Okay.
Gail, when did Gail retire?
December 2nd or
First.
something like
First.
that.
December
First or
2nd?
second, yeah.
Okay, so it's not too late to send a card.
Okay. And
Uh,
then
somebody-
second, I have another one. On page 6, where Tom asked about any projects left by the former archivist, Eric Bauer. And I think I would like to say that the Chickering project is still hanging out there. And that's something that I was working with Eric on. So I don't know if we want to put something in there about that.
Most of the projects that Eric was working on, he had pretty much wrapped up. All the communication he was in with other people had been wrapped up. I think not much had gotten done over the summer. So he had kind of suspended all the projects he was working on. I have all of his logins and emails and records and everything to pass on to the next, when we can post that, when we do hopefully post this position later this month, to pass on to the next archivist. But there was nothing that was actively being worked on. Everything was pretty much drawn to a close long before he left. In terms of the piano, that, I think last time we had talked about it, we were talking about the possibility of fundraising and getting somebody in to look at the piano and see how much it was worth. So that's something that I would prefer waiting until there's an archivist on staff to do that. Because it's something I don't honestly have the time for at the moment. And maybe if we do wait, then hopefully we'll be in a position where we can actually get people into the library again to look at it and not have to do it all virtually. And I think it would be better to wait on that, just because of the situation we're in right now.
It sounds good. It won't be forgotten, Ann.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I won't forget it.
I'm glad to keep us on our toes. All right. So that was the discussion. Anything else?
I move to accept the minutes.
Okay, as amended, Ann, or is there anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. All right. Move to accept. Second.
Second the
Second.
motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you unanimously. All right. So receipt of communications. We finally got to the thing I started with. So was there anything, Stephanie, that you have
Oh,
received?
no, I was, a lot of times it's also written, like if Kate gets mail to the library or something, and we did get that letter from Wes just to acknowledge Wes's letter to the board,
Okay, thank you.
letter of resignation.
All right. And that brings us up to the next agenda item, report of the library director. Kate, please.
Hello, everybody. Well, it starts with good news, which is how many times have I been able to say that in the last year? So most of this is, the first part is just kind of a recap of what the mayor told us, but budget and certification. To add some good news to 2021, the mayor has included in the agenda for this coming Thursday city council meeting a request for an additional $139,000 to be added to our FY21 budget. This has been divided into $74,000 for staffing and $65,000 for books and materials. This is obviously very good news, and I'm so thankful to the mayor for making this request. If this request is approved by the city council, our total budget reduction for FY21 will now be under the overall 10% MBLC cutoff for a disproportionate cut, and we will be presented to the MBLC for an approval of a waiver with other libraries who have also not been disproportionately cut. The MBLC will vote on granting these waivers as one group at either the February or March meeting MBLC meeting without a hearing or presentation necessary. I'm so thankful and relieved that we can continue to be certified even during what we all know has been such a financially difficult time for our city. I will provide more updates as necessary, but for now, we may all breathe easy and look forward to a future of what is projected to be nearly $80,000 in state aid funding this year. The state line item for state aid has increased nearly 20% this year, access to state and federal funding, and most importantly, the seamless continuation of borrowing and lending privileges with every Noble and Massachusetts library. Yay! Thank you to the mayor for his support and tireless efforts to secure this necessary funding and his commitment to the future of the Peabody Institute Library through this pandemic and beyond. The support from the mayor and city council shows how much the city of Peabody values the library and our place in the community, and we will now be able to continue the services, programs, and events that connect and enhance the lives of Peabody residents of all ages, backgrounds, languages, and interests. And then in the late addition to this report, I received word today that we have been granted an additional $75,000 in local economic development project earmarks for FY21 from the state budget. Mayor Betancourt and Representative Tom Walsh have worked hard on requesting this funding from the state, and I'm thrilled that we will be able to implement robust programming and services this spring. I just learned of these funds this afternoon and will be learning more about the process, stipulations, et cetera this week, but wanted to let you know about this other good news that I'm still processing. Staffing. Staff continue to work 85% in building and 15% at home. Our current level of services are sustainable with our current level of staffing, and morale is high as we're all grateful to still be doing what we love even during a pandemic. As of December 28th, Pam Shachuk is our new technical services librarian, filling the position long held by Gail Desmond, who retired earlier that month. Pam has been the West Branch assistant librarian for 7 years and has been a library employee for over 16 years. Her knowledge, kindness, attention to detail, enthusiasm for all things cataloging, and dedication to the library are a gift to us all. And please join me in congratulating Pam on her new position. I posted the West Branch assistant librarian position earlier today and hope to post the new senior local history and public services librarian later this month. Senior West Branch librarian Christy Bryant, senior teen librarian Joanna Correa, and public services librarian Sharon Janis all successfully completed their fall classes. And I requested earlier in the fall the pre-approval of their contractual tuition reimbursement. Tonight, I am requesting the pre-approval of their tuition reimbursement for the upcoming spring semesters at $500 per person per semester. Reopening. Assistant Director Hayden and I have planned many different scenarios for reopening later this spring, from what options were available with our current level of staffing to options with more robust staffing levels. We hope to meet with the mayor and the trustees president soon to determine how this funding will be allocated, and we'll create a more detailed plan based on how many staff we expect to have later this spring. Assistant Director Hayden and I will finalize our reopening plan as soon as we finalize our staffing levels and bring it to the president and board for feedback, discussion, and approval. This admittedly puts any reopening plan in limbo until we have a full idea of our spring staffing, but we feel that it is best to plan for the reopening of each location based on the actual available staff, rather than determining how to reopen each location without ensuring that we will have enough staff in place. With the supplemental staffing budget, we can move forward with determining how we are able to reopen to the public. And I know that all staff are looking forward to interacting with and helping patrons in person as soon as this is safe. Services. Self-serve pickup in the children's room entryway has proven to be very popular with patrons and has made their pickups easier and faster. We have received nothing but positive feedback and are happy that we made the switch. We continue to offer the following services: materials pickup, museum passes, 3D printing, document printing, library takeout, grab-and-go crafts for all ages, and expanded library of things. Programming. So this evening, actually, as we speak, Senior Adult Services and Public Programming Librarian Gabriella Toth is hosting an online concert with Anya Minogue via Zoom, sponsored by the Library Foundation. 100 patrons have signed up, the limit for a Zoom event, and we assume that the actual viewership will be much greater based on household viewings. We are excited that so many patrons, more than usually attend these programs in person, have embraced online programs, and hope to expand programming and events like these as our staffing situation continues. Senior West Branch Librarian Christy Bryant and Senior Adult Services and Public Programming Librarian Gabriella Toth have launched their New Year, New Business series of online programs that feature local business people and will teach patrons how to start their own businesses based on their skills and interests. These programs are funded by a grant from the MBLC and federal IMLS for online programming during the pandemic. George Peabody's birthday. As a way of adapting to our changing world, we would like the trustees to honor George Peabody in a different way this year. Instead of the traditional birthday party and birthday cake that are not an ideal event to hold this year, we would like to invite the trustees to participate in and help promote a new campaign inviting all community citizens to sign George Peabody's birthday card. This will be a wide-ranging campaign on our social media outlets, website, and through printed flyers with an easily accessible website form for those without access, a card that can be mailed or returned in any of our book drops. This will be the start of a year-long campaign that the library will be launching to educate the community about its value to the community. And what a better way to start than by honoring the legacy of George Peabody. Collection. We are in the beginning stages of reorganizing the main library adult nonfiction section to make it more accessible and easier for our patrons to find books. We will begin with our biographies and memoirs, organizing them alphabetically by subject. This process, changing from Library of Congress to BISAC classification, has already been done with much success and positive patron feedback at the South and West branches, as well as the children's and teen nonfiction collections at the main library. Because we are not open to the public, this is the ideal time to begin this project, as the necessary moving and recataloging and labeling of books will cause minimal disruption to patron services. Once our biographies and memoirs are finished, we will evaluate whether it will be beneficial to reorganize our nonfiction further. Grants. Assistant Director Hayden, Senior Teen Librarian Joanna Correa, and I continue to work on our application for the LSTA grant that would fund gardening and outdoor learning programs in the main library courtyard. The final application is due in April, and we will be reaching out to local groups and organizations to invite them to participate in this venture this month. Building and grounds, the first time I've ever said this, I have no updates or concerns at the moment, but I probably will get a call from our HVAC company in the next 20 minutes now that I've said that. That's how it works. It's 2021. Budget. The budget up to date through the end of January is attached for your review. The things that stand out, as I've mentioned before, the IT and technical services budget is all front-loaded and largely spent at the beginning of the FY. The outside services budget is also at 82% due to all of our HVAC and elevator issues. But there are library capital accounts that are available if needed for certain issues, and we can move funds around between line items if necessary. Of course, my hope is that no new problems will arise, but if they do, we will be able to supplement this budget line from other underspent areas like supplies. Please note that if our supplemental funding for FY21 is approved, $65,000 will be added to our books and materials budget. So we are all looking forward to adding more materials and items to our collection, especially ebooks and online databases this spring. I am thankful to the mayor for understanding our need for not just staffing, but also for the books and materials that our patrons are still reserving and using at high levels during these difficult times. And then last, policy. In the fall, the trustees approved a suspension of overdue fines through 12/31/20, a week ago. Tonight, I am requesting that the suspension be extended through the end of the fiscal year to encourage patrons to return items without penalty during these difficult financial times and to make transactions and borrowing easier on both staff and patrons, since fines paid online incur a fee and require a valid credit card. Overdue fines create a barrier to access, which is the absolute last thing a public library should stand for, especially during a worldwide crisis. And then just some background. In a normal year, the budget that is collected through overdue fines is deposited back into our books and materials budget. So these fines allow us to purchase a small amount of additional materials. Our books and materials spending in FY20 was around $200,000 from our city budget, Friends, Foundation, and grant funding services, even while we were closed for 3 months. And our overdue fines collected in FY20 totaled around $4,000. So overdue fines are around 2% of our total books and materials spending, so not a big chunk at all. Patrons may pay fines from other libraries when visiting the PIL. And since Danvers and Beverly have also recently gone fine-free, I expect that the fines that we regularly collect will decrease based on this as well. This year of all years, I feel that encouraging access to patrons is of the utmost importance, and that it is in our best interest to not penalize patrons during this time and to welcome them to use our materials as much as they are able. Fines for damaged or lost items will still be incurred and will not be suspended or canceled. Based on our budget for FY22 and how that looks, I plan on approaching the board later in the spring to begin discussions of officially becoming an overdue fine-free library beginning in FY22, once this crisis passes and life returns to somewhat normal. For now, though, I'm requesting that the trustees vote to approve a suspension of overdue fines being charged on Peabody-owned items through the end of this fiscal year, so the end of June. The end.
Thank you, Kate. Does anybody have questions for Kate? Go ahead, Ann.
Hey, this money that we got from the state, that you just $75,000, was that a surprise? Did you know it was in the works or anything?
No idea. I got an email at like 2 o'clock today from the state budget office, and it looked like spam because I didn't know what it was or what it meant. And then I asked Stephanie if she knew anything about it, and she didn't. And I forwarded it on to the mayor, and he called me and explained what it was. And then Mike Gingras emailed me back, said, well, it looks like you just put together a budget and give it to the state, and here's our tax ID number. And it seems to be, if you look, I will send the state budget website that it was from. There's a whole long list of, looks like nonprofits and local community organizations statewide that were given anywhere from, it looks like $25,000 to $150,000.
Well, I'm just curious why Tom Walsh and the mayor weren't communicating with you when they were pursuing this money. I
don't know. I will say that it would have been really disappointing to learn about this money and then not get it. So I do understand the logic on that, to not get my hopes up. But there is kind of a crunch time because it does seem to be kind of project oriented. So it's like we just got a $75,000 grant, and we're coming up with a big project to do over the next week. So it's going to be, Al and I are trying to work through ways that we can spend this money on a kind of a big initiative, because we have a couple that have been kicking around in the back of our minds for a couple years now, in a way that's still sustainable with our staffing levels, because it's not fair to spend this on a giant project that is not sustainable, assuming that, times continue to be tough for a while. So it was good news, but also overwhelming at the same time. I went, yay, oh no, what do we do now? So this is, I'll keep you informed, obviously, and I need to learn about what this means and how this is done. I don't think any of us have ever dealt with this before. And I have to learn and talk to the mayor and Mike Gingras about if there are restrictions, can they be hired for like a consultant? What do we want to do with this? The thing that jumped into our heads first was really working and expanding the LSTA grant that we're writing to turn the courtyard into an outdoor learning area. That's the first thing that popped into our head in terms of matching funds for that, to pay for a consultant and artists, and to really make it more robust than some raised bed gardens, really turn it into like a kind of a destination area in the courtyard. But that's, as of 2 hours ago, we're still kind of brainstorming, and I don't think we'll sleep well at night, for good reason, for once. So if you have any ideas, or if you've ever dealt with this before, had this kind of money before, please let me know, because I think this is new to all of us. So Tom, you and I will be having lots of fun conversations as we learn.
I'll be looking forward to them too.
It was a nice surprise.
It's a great surprise.
Nice surprises these days. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, terrific. I'm sure the good use is going to come out of it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Kate?
Well, I'm assuming, are we going to talk about George Peavy's birthday under new business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait till then. Thank you. Okay, I make a motion to accept. I make a motion, to accept the library director's report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. All right. So help me out here, Stephanie. We have the next item here is reports of committees.
So part of being a newly elected president is you are able to reappoint and reassign those liaisons if you wish to do so. So that's kind of falls to you.
Okay, well, thank you. So I'm looking at what we have here, and just hearing of the resignation of Wes Merrill, buildings and grounds are now vacated. We don't have anybody there chairing that committee. And knowing you for a few years now, Rich, I haven't talked to you yet, but you seem to be the most likely.
I'd love to.
Thank you. I tend to ramble on a little bit. All right, so I'd like to have Rich Shuhan assigned to Building and Grounds Committee. Thank you, Rich. Okay, the Audubon Prince is the other subcommittee here, and Rich, you were serving on that. Do you think it's time that maybe somebody else may be interested? Or
Yes, I was gonna recommend that. I really shouldn't have two.
Right.
And I'm more comfortable with building and grounds. And yeah, hopefully somebody, and I have some materials I'll pass on by
Okay.
email.
So I think since we do have some new faces on the trustees, I'm going to name a few names if anybody is interested here. We have Kate, we have Morgan, Peter Bakula, and Stephanie Delar. If anybody's interested in these Audubon prints, they're a jewel in our collection here at the library. There's not many around, and I'd like to see somebody who really wants to do this or take a chance at doing this and learn more about it, raise their hand. Is anybody interested?
Tom,
Ann?
I would be very interested in this because there are some legal issues floating around about our obligations about preserving them and restoring them and all of that business. And I've been talking on and off with several people. And also, this is not exactly related, but Dawn, did you ever determine about the Scarlet Tanager? Whether
I was trying to figure that out, and I did leave a message for Kate. I'm not sure if you got it. I was asking if the Scarlet Tanager of the Audubon prints was one of our 4 missing prints. I'm not sure if that message got to you.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. Well, last week on the Antique Roadshow, someone came forward with a beautiful.
So can we take care of this under a different section in the agenda and get the assignments done?
Well, no, I just want to say that this is why I'm so interested in the Audubon prints.
Okay, I see you have passion. Is there anybody else who is interested as well? Okay, Anne, you get to wear that hat. Thank you for stepping up on that. All right, this brings us up to personnel, and the Personnel Committee has been chaired by Don McAllister. So, Don, would you like to continue to do that?
Sure, I'll be glad to.
All right, thank you. Currently, we have policy and procedures, and the chair for that is Kate O'Brien. Kate, would you like to continue to do that on policy and procedures?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, thank you. And here we have a liaison to the Friends of the Peabody Institute Library. Committee chair is Morgan Yo.
Yeah, I'll keep with that.
Okay, good. And then here's an open position, which I've been chairing, is the liaison to the Peabody Historical Society. Can I hear somebody new on the trustees interested in this?
I could do that.
Okay, Stephanie, that's awesome. It's you'll find it real enjoyable. I'll get you some contact information, and you'll get something every month that's kind of interesting. And it gets a little bit more interesting with COVID because nobody can go to the meetings, but there's some pretty cool tidbits of history that they have. So thank you for that, Morgan.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, not Morgan, Stephanie. I looked down for a second. Hang on here. Let me write that down, Stephanie.
You've only been the president for 20 minutes, so we'll cut you some slack.
Thank you. Just get tough on me next meeting. All right. And then liaison to the Peabody Institute Library Foundation is currently Ann. And you're going to be doing double duty. So is anybody interested? And Ann, I don't know if you want to do. Stephanie, you have interest?
Oh, yeah, you don't want 2 people doing this,
Okay.
So I sit on the foundation, so I was just going to say it's easy for me to just be the liaison.
Okay. Then thank you very much, Stephanie.
Yeah.
That's yours.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to need a motion to accept this new committee assignments.
Motion to accept the new committee assignments.
Thank you, Fran. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Morgan. I saw your hand go up first, but you were on mute.
I'm muting. I forget.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Sorry, there's one of the attendees has chatted something with us and raised his hand. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh, Greg to P, oh, we have somebody that's just being.
And he
I
left.
Throw him
Okay.
out. Okay.
No, he left on his own. That was fun. We got
Okay.
our first Zoom bomber. We're so
A
popular.
Zoom bomber. At least it wasn't worse.
Yeah.
Do you see what he
Yeah.
chatted us, everybody? It's
Yeah, I saw it.
lovely.
Ridiculous.
Could have been worse. I'll take it.
I have to drop off for another meeting, so I just wrote that in. I will.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
See ya.
All right, so hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, are there any opposed to the new committee assignments? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. And then we're coming down here to unfinished business. Hold on a second. We have unfinished business. Stephanie, is there any unfinished business that you had in mind for this meeting?
No, because the whole budget issue has been wrapped up, so I think we can
Okay.
move off of that. Yeah.
All right. And then the new business, we were going to talk about George Peabody's birthday and how that's going to work and the card. And who suggested that we bring this up under new business? And I think that was that Ann? Was that Stephanie?
It was
Stephanie.
I was gonna, yeah, because I was
Okay.
just gonna, I mean, we all got Kate's email, so I was excited. I thought, what a great idea you and Al had.
It was all Al's idea.
Yeah.
Al gets all the credit for that.
That's a great idea, because I was excited to read that. But what exactly, can you explain a little more on what you would need from us?
Al Hayden, want to pop in? This was Al's idea.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Is she here?
I'm gonna promote two panelists. Ooh, where is she? There you go.
Hi, everyone. I feel
Hi,
so
Al.
special. I've been promoted.
Hi, Al.
This is very exciting.
Twice in 1 year. Well,
Yeah.
We can't see you.
That is because I am in my penguin pajamas right now. And so I'm going to keep the video off.
See, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Thing.
Always glad to bring a little levity to the party. What information would you like about the George Peabody birthday campaign?
How can we be involved as trustees to help support this? Usually we're involved with having an event at the library, and this is completely new and different to adapt to the pandemic environment that we're in right now. So what can we do as trustees to help with this?
Well, the first step, I already emailed Don because he is your resident George Peabody expert, and I will be chatting to him later this week about the specifics about George Peabody's involvement in establishing the Peabody Library. As I emailed you all, I had a couple of questions about that. The statement of his role in the creation of the library will be brief, but I want it to be as descriptive and inclusive of his legacy as it possibly can be. From there, I think what you as trustees can do the most is promote this in any possible way that you can. So we are welcome to do contactless pickup. If we print out cards, we can arrange contactless pickup for you to distribute to your friends, your family, people you know, people you think would like to do this so that they can either mail the card back or drop it off in our book drop. If you are comfortable with using and are on social media, you can post it on your Instagram, your Facebook page, your Twitter, and share it as widely as possible. I like to think that part of the outstanding legacy that George Peabody left behind is that the Peabody Library community is not just within the walls, or not within the walls, within the city limits of Peabody itself. So I think the more people that get involved with this, I think it can really show how extensive George Peabody's legacy could be. So if it gets shared on social media and it gets signatures from people who are not Peabody residents, then so much the better. We can show what a wonderful job he's done spreading his good works and his value of education in the library through that. We will have this up on the library's website, so you can also engage through email and link people to the library's website. So any of those ways where you can spread the word and let other people know about this promotion. It also gives you a great opportunity to talk about the awesome things that the library does and talk about the wonderful things that George Peabody has left behind us and allow people to get to know the Peabody Library a little bit more. So I think that those would be the best things that you as trustees can do. And certainly if you have specific questions or if you would like to have more involvement in some way, I do have a couple of drafts of the birthday card for various platforms. I would obviously give you guys kind of right of last refusal of that design and whatnot to make sure that we're honoring his legacy in a way that you would approve of. So, you'll be getting an email from me probably fairly soon about with the drafts of those for your comments and feedback as well.
That's awesome. Thank you, Al.
Sounds great.
It looks like Anne has a question.
Anne, please.
Al, you hinted that the people might send physical birthday cards, and if so,
cards that we would provide. So we would have like a printed card that we could give to you in stacks of that you could distribute. I'm only thinking of this, this would probably be the smallest part of the campaign. I'm only thinking this in terms of for accessibility for people who either do not have internet access or are not comfortable using the internet or social media as a lot of other people are.
Right.
Okay. Stephanie, you had a question?
All right, so what exactly, I understand the concept, but what is it that you're gathering? So you're gathering people's comments and then you're putting it on one big birthday card that's going to be, like if we went to the Peabody Public Library's website, there would be this virtual card. Is that what I'm understanding?
We absolutely can put the signatures on our website. Obviously, I don't think we would be able to do like physical signatures, like, copy and paste.
Right.
But we can certainly put on the website, provided people are comfortable, their names on our website to say all of these people have signed a card for George Peabody. But more importantly, this is a nice step for sort of a very soft-handed advocacy campaign.
Yes.
To let people know about the library and some of the great stuff that we do. And it gives all of the trustees a very easy talking point. And it also gives everybody, including us at the library, the opportunity to let people know some of the great things that we do, and a way to reach out to other people that we may not have known before that are library supporters.
So you're not collecting these comments or feedback. You want, I'm sorry, I'm really I'm being stupid about this. Where if I put something out on Facebook or on my Instagram or something like that, obviously you're going to give me talking points and it's going to just highlight the upcoming birthday of George Peabody and how wonderful he was and all of that. So is that as far as we're taking just to have the awareness of the library and George Peabody, or is there something coming back to you that you're organizing? I guess that's where I was getting caught up.
Oh, okay, sure. So yes, let's use Facebook as an example. So, I would give you the Facebook template that the trustees have approved. You post it on your Facebook page. That would give a link to the library website where people can virtually sign George Peabody's card. We would collect those signatures and email addresses. And then, we would just sort of have a running tally of people who love the library and support it. So we can also have like an opt-in, in order to keep to keep things, for lack of a better term, secure, it would be an opt-in rather than an opt-out, but people can also opt in through this to get updates about the library. So that would be another way that would be possibly beneficial to the library.
Great.
It's good marketing, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent marketing.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's such a great idea.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you guys have positive support for it so far.
Rich, you have a question?
Yes. Al, is there going to be some way that we can filter this so we don't get a weird message like we got tonight with the signature?
So this, none of this is really going to be live. So, I mean, yes, if you get on, if you get on Facebook, somebody may comment strangely on your personal Facebook if you post it there, or if you post it on Facebook. We can't really control how people comment about these things, but you certainly have every right to ignore those comments. In terms of how people will be signing the card, I don't really think that a lot of people will. I don't think the thrill is there for them to just make a random comment on, if they're signing up with their name and their email address, and maybe what you love about the library, if what they love about the library is something that's not really germane to the topic, then, that's something that we wouldn't really consider or take any farther. But I think, I don't think like the Zoom bombing sort of thing, people kind of get a rise out of getting the attention. And I don't think that something like this in terms of a campaign would really attract the kind of people who would get a rise out of that negative attention.
Okay.
Anne, thank you.
Two things. I had suggested this earlier to Al, something along the lines of a gigantic birthday card out of, somebody's going to have to make this, Public Works, on the lawn of the City Hall or the library or something big and visible and public. But the other thing I was just thinking and listening to this conversation, we go to this birthday party and we go to the grave and we do that whole thing because we care and we know about George and we love him and all that. But how many people, even in this city, know who he is and care? And how much are we going to need to do to explain what a great guy he was?
Well, that's exactly the intention of this. That's exactly why I'm suggesting something that will be a little bit broader. I don't think that a lot of people know how incredibly cool George Peabody really was.
Exactly right.
And this is a wonderful opportunity for everybody who's involved with the library to be able to spread that word and to say, George Peabody was this great man. He did this wonderful thing for generations of people that he would never, ever meet in his lifetime. So let's celebrate that wonderful legacy that he left behind. And I think that with the right amount of involvement from library staff and the trustees and maybe even the friends in the foundation getting involved, that the more we spread that message, I have a feeling that we will be pleasantly surprised with how many people come back with saying, you know what? This was kind of a cool thing.
I never do this. I never, that's the thing. That's the reaction.
And I think it's also a very simple thing for people to respond to. We're not asking for a monetary commitment. We're not asking for a time commitment. Nobody's asking for people to volunteer anything. We're asking for a signature and an email to say, let's honor this wonderful gentleman and the legacy that he left all of us.
Right.
And so I think removing as many barriers to access as possible, I think increases the likelihood that we will get a positive response.
You know, it would be cool, but it would cost some money, and it's just a brainstorm idea here, is that those new fangled billboard signs, right? Those digital ones you see. I've seen something about the library on one of them once, but how cool would that be if there's something very festive that said "Happy Birthday, George Peabody," you know?
Oh, yes.
And then a website, and that's it. Something pretty cool like that would catch people's eye. Just a crazy brainstorm.
I have the dimensions for those billboards. I can absolutely design something in that, and we can look into it and take it from there.
And, you know, people who have those billboards in Peabody might want to take part in the festivities and say, yeah, we'll give you some time. I know that's somewhat of a dream, and it's probably not, you know, based in reality, that somebody in business like that would give us that kind of time on a billboard, but it's probably worth a shot. Stephanie, go ahead, please.
I have two ideas. One is involved, like I love this whole thing, and I'm going to be out there doing my thing, and I'm sure the foundation and friends would be happy to, you know, go along with all of this. But you could coordinate through your children's programming at home George Peabody birthday party. Like all these kids are bored, they're stuck home, and they could have their own George Peabody birthday party. You could like extend it that way. And also we could get the Peabody Main Streets in downtown Peabody to do something maybe on their windows or something to honor like the George Peabody special, birthday special, like at Brody's or at Brothers, or just something fun or anything, just fun downtown. It'd be something like I'd be happy to reach out to them to see if they want to jump on board, whatever. That's just a quick thing that popped in my head.
And who's the guy who portrays George Peabody? Don, the guy who's got the
Burke. No,
we had a fellow who did a very nice job.
what was
Burke,
pictures
isn't
of
it?
Rick, who was it? It was John Burke.
He's the
I think so.
Yes, yeah, that rings a bell.
I'm drawing a blank. I think it was John Burke with someone else. Anyway.
But I mean, maybe we could get him to do something.
Well, right now during COVID, it's hard to.
Yeah, so that type of a situation.
He's the guy. He was on the float.
I'm sorry, through the chair.
Oh yes, exactly. He was on the float.
He bought the costume. He's got the whiskers.
Yeah. One moment, everybody. Don, go ahead, please.
Yeah, through the chair, just briefly, I think those are great things for us to do. I think with the problem, of course, with the COVID, is that we're not going to be able to do anything for his birthday this year. But that's the concept of the placards going out and a place where people can come. Maybe if they're going into City Hall or at the door of the library, they could sign a card. Would be, I think, a wonderful start. And as we had spoken about getting together, I'd be more than glad to feed any information I can about some of the things that I've been doing for a while now with George.
Jim Burke.
Thanks. For the past couple of years, I had
You're breaking up,
for the
Don.
past couple of years, I had the pleasure. Sorry, for the past couple of years, I've had the pleasure of speaking to the third graders in the city of all the elementary schools. They would come to the George Peabody house, and I do a little bit about it. And the kids were wide-eyed. I'm not saying that they remembered for a long time, but they had no idea who George Peabody was. And a lot of the teachers were more interested actually in some of the things that he did, but they had no idea. So I think the educational thing something that we need to do. Don't get me started about talking about it. We'll be here till 10 o'clock tonight, but there's a lot that people don't know that we'd be glad to share.
Yeah. And my hope is that we can get started with something that's, again, fairly easy, and that something has as few barriers to access as possible. And when COVID lifts and things start to return to normal, that this may even be something that we can do year after year and expand upon. And add different things. And, you know, if we're really able to get the word out well this year, then next February, people will remember when George Peabody's birthday is coming around. And, you know, we can get the George Peabody special across the street at Breaking Grounds, and we can get people to post signs and, you know, maybe get a huge turnout at, you know, at the library to celebrate him.
Terrific. That's great.
That's awesome.
Great stuff.
This is great.
Okay, anything else under new business, everybody? Thank you very much, Al. Very
Well,
creative.
thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. I'm really excited.
And everybody's fun comments too, very creative.
So I'm gonna
Talk to you
demote you
soon,
now, Al.
Yeah, okay, so she'll send an email, okay.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Anything else under new business, Stephanie, that we had? Just this here, George Peabody card?
Hey,
Al, I can't actually demote her apparently once I make her a panelist, so hang out.
She can leave, can she just leave the meeting, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, then she'd have to come back in. It's up to you, Al, but I can't make you an attendee from a panelist, so you can either keep hanging out or go back in and out and in or whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll pop out and pop back in. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you. What is resolution on the agenda here that we have? Resolution to, there's no subject matter underneath
Okay,
it.
yeah, that's just, any wrap up and then any, we
Okay.
have to book the next.
I think there are a couple of items that we need to vote
To vote,
on.
we have new business on voting, correct, Ann?
Yes.
One is the approval of the tuition reimbursements.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
I don't have the details, but
I can do one.
does anybody have the language on that one?
While you're looking
There
for
were
that,
three
can I make a
three
motion?
staff members.
Everybody, please, attention. Somebody wants to make a motion. Rich Shuhan said he'd like to make one.
Okay.
Let me make a motion while you look at that. My motion is, I am making a motion that the trustees vote to approve a suspension of overdue fines being charged on Peabody-owned items through the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th, 2021.
Second,
Who was the second?
me.
Oh, well, thank you, Fran. Okay, any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Rich.
Do
Do I have any other motions?
Where was that? Where was that? other one?
Stephanie,
I make a motion for the requesting of the pre-approval of the tuition reimbursement for the upcoming spring semesters at $500 per person for Christy and for Joanna.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Rick. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. I think there's still another motion that's being requested on the director's report earlier. Is that right? Did we get everything, Kate?
I think
I think it was just the fines and then the reimbursement. I think that was it.
tuition reimbursement.
Okay.
I think that was it.
All right. Any other motions at all? All right. Thank you. This brings us down to, I think, this would be number 8, the resolution, which is a placeholder, right? And then we have nothing there. So number 9, any matter suggested. I guess there isn't anything else on this, right? Unless Stephanie, go ahead.
I have something to say, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I still think I'm president or something, right? I don't know. But a couple of things, just I would want to pass along and thank you for all your support over these past years. But just going forward, I mean, it's still going to be a rocky year budget-wise, and I think we need to be a little more involved. Everybody's some were more involved than others going during this past cycle, but I think we just all need to be and reach out to Tom or Kate as we move through this budget cycle for any other additional support and be a little more vocal or reaching out to our community for support. And then secondly, we have now 2 open positions on the Board of Trustees. So this fall, in this summer, spring, summer, people can pull papers to run for trustee. So I'm just saying maybe we can go out and encourage people in the community to fill those spots so that we have a robust board and people who, care and want to sit on the board with us. So just throwing that out there.
Sounds good. Anybody else?
Tom, I have a.
Go ahead, Rick.
Normally in January when we start, we basically pick seats.
We
And
do.
for
Oh,
Zoom,
right.
it's not a big deal. Let me finish. But if we have a roll call vote, I suggest we keep the numbers we already have, or we go alphabetically for a roll call vote, whatever works.
You know, we had a discussion on this before the meeting about I've got to do this on Wednesday night with the commission I'm leading, and we're on Zoom as well. And usually I bring a paper bag with numbers in it, and I don't know how to do that on Zoom other than with a software program that randomly picks numbers. But it doesn't have the same kind of feeling of randomness because you don't know what's happening behind the screen. So I don't know if anybody is interested in going alphabetically. I mean, that's kind of a random thought that just popped out there. Can we still use our old numbers, and then when we do meet physically, then do a new vote order?
Whatever you think.
Any thoughts? I'm asking the trustees here what would make them comfortable. Don, I see your hand up.
I would think that the proper thing would be the last voted positions that we took, as when the board was able to do it, would probably be the best way, just to keep it as it is until we can come to a time when we're all sitting together and can do it again formally.
Thank you, Don. Stephanie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we just have to be reminded and pull the January minutes from last year to see what our numbers were, because I honestly, I was, yeah, well, that my number is going to change because I'm not the president.
Oh, that's right.
You could take my number. We can swap.
Yeah, we can swap. I'm indifferent, honestly. If it was, we can go with that. And I was going to say alphabetical is fine too. I don't have a problem.
Well, we
haven't
did a
seen-
controlled process by pulling numbers, and we can keep that
Yes.
controlled process in play. Because we're in a pandemic, it might have to extend longer than the year. I think that's fair too. Ann, go ahead, please.
No, I just say I don't see that has made much of a difference in any kind of situation where we've had to vote on anything. So it's perfectly fine to keep things the way they are.
Okay, well, thank
And
you.
I agree.
Swapping.
If we have a roll call vote where there's a lot of money involved or a big issue, I want to make sure that we do it right. Thank you.
Mhm.
I just thought of that. I forgot about that.
All right, so I guess this brings us to the end of our agenda. So we have to make a next meeting date. Can we do that?
Yep.
All right.
It would be February.
February 1st, I guess. Huh?
February 1st.
Let's see, February, January, and February 1st. Imagine that. And let's see what we have on February 1st. It's the first day of Black History Month, too. Interesting. Okay. So February 1st, everybody.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Yep.
February 1.
And through the chair, if
Go ahead,
we're
Don.
coming to a close, I would just like to take the opportunity for a minute to thank Kate for her service during this very difficult time that we've had again, and also to Stephanie. You've been the president for a while. You've really done, I think, an excellent job. And
Absolutely.
I think on behalf of the board for all your service.
Thank you.
I think you do need,
Yay.
I think
Thank
you do need a well-deserved rest.
Well,
Round of
I
applause
got
for
off the hook.
Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yep.
I was
Thank
funny
both
because
of
I
you.
was kind of dreading, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of dreading last year in May when graduation. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to sit through graduation again. And then we didn't have it because of what happened. And this year, who knows if there'll be a graduation or not. I don't know what they're going to do.
That's right.
But anyway, it's all good. Thank you. I mean, I love the library, of course, and I was happy to do it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you on February 1st.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay.
Have a good
All
night.
right.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
How do we?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.